Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable of Lecture, Ma'am Dr. Anissa Astrid, STMPD. Let me introduce myself. My name is Novita Angreini. So today I would like to present the chapter 1 of my proposal. So in this research, the researchers will use the qualitative approach, which the title is the use of gestures in teaching English to young learners, a case study of primary school in Palembang. As we know, in the learning process, teachers can position themselves as teaching aids. This is supported by a statement from Harmer 2001, page 64, which explains that teachers can make themselves as learning facilitators in the applications of their own rights, or in other words, to support learning, such as in the use of words or body language that teachers can do itself. The way the teacher communicates using body language can be applied in the use of expression and pantomimes to explain meaning in certain situations. Pantomimes and expressions can be said to be related to each other, as pantomimes can tell a thing without making a sound, followed by expressions that support expressing feeling. According to Ali Bali and Nathan 2005, emphasis that gestures are an important aspect in the understanding process of students who are often given new concepts with terms that they have never encountered before. Although gestures are not something that must be in the learning process, gestures really help students to understand learning material that was previously only conveyed using words that are difficult for students to absorb. As an example of how gestures affect students' level of understanding was the finding of the Taylor study in 2008. The aim of this research was to observe the use of gestures in memorizing students' words in their first language. He used 42 French children from the same school as object of observation, which were then divided into 3 groups, so that one group consists of 14 children, including the control, comparison, and experimental groups. Then he played a video filled with words and gestures. Some of the children only need to see the movements and repeat the words that are heard, while the other groups have to repeat the movement they see in the video. The results obtained from the observations that children from the experimental group who performed the movements seen in the video again memorized more words, whereas those who only saw the movements and repeated the words could not memorize them well. This shows that gestures greatly affect understanding and memory, especially in children, and it can conclude that gestures are important in learning, especially mastery of words, especially foreign words such as English, which students do not know. Now look at the research problem based on the background. The researcher has formulated the problems of this study. The goals of this study are to find, first, what is the purpose of teachers often use gestures in learning and teaching English to young learners. The second, what are the types of gestures that teachers often use in teaching English to young learners? The third is, under what circumstance do teachers often use gestures in teaching English to young learners? Now, let's see the research objectives related to the problems of the study that has been formulated. The researcher has found the objectives of this study, there are: first, to find out what the purpose of the gestures is often used in teaching English to young learners. The second is to find out what types of gestures are often used by teachers in teaching English to young learners. The third is to find out in what situations the teachers often use gestures in teaching English to young learners. From the background, the problems, and the objective study that has been mentioned before, we came to the significance of the research. This study was expected to have a significant influence on the following part. The first is for lectures. This study was expected to study gestures as part of the teaching and learning process. Therefore, as the result of research, was expected to be facilitated for teachers to use and modify language learning properly. The second is for students. This study was expected to increase students-teacher interaction, which can influence the flow of communication in the classroom. The third is for future researchers. This study was expected to become knowledge about the use of gestures in the teaching and learning process of English, especially for young learners. I think that's all from my explanation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.